Hello everyone, welcome to Reporters, our showcase of the best France 24 stories from around the world. Today we'll head to the small West African nation of Gabon. For over 40 years, the country was ruled by one man, Omar Bongo. He was seen as the father of the oil-rich nation, becoming impossibly wealthy, while the people of Gabon lived in poverty. And yet he was mostly tolerated, seen as a vestige of another era when Africa was ruled by autocrats. After his death in June, the country was left in a political vacuum. Elections were immediately called and held in August. Now, more than 15 candidates ran for president, promising change for Gabon. But one name among them rang for many an unpleasant bell. That's former Defense Minister Ali Bongo, the previous president's son. With the ruling party behind him, the man who was nicknamed Baby Zeus was considered a shoo-in for the race. And within days, he declared victory. But two other candidates say they won as well, and they're not backing down. Reporter Patrick Fondio was in Gabon for the vote. Here's his special report.
Along the beach, campaign portraits still line the road, like so many signs of a post-election battle still going on. Ali Bongo has been named president, but the man who considers himself the real president, the only real winner, says he's being threatened. Andre Baobam no longer moves about without his guards. There are even rumors that he's being housed by a neighboring country's embassy. Our meeting took place in an anonymous house in Libreville. The former candidate believes he's being followed and fears being arrested.
My life is in danger because it's believed that, well, as long as I'm alive, the president announced I can't work. I can't establish myself in the country. I still take precautions because I know that he's not one to bother with the niceties. He was proclaimed president, but it's me, everyone knows that. It's me, you know, that won the presidential election. The numbers show that.
But there's another candidate who's certain he's won the presidency too. Pierre Mbundu, leader of the opposition for many years, was the first to release a statement declaring himself the winner.
The trend is the same. We are in the lead.
He knows his winning score right down to a percentage point.
Yes, I've already been elected. No, this is not a blind optimism. It's the reality of numbers. The figure, according to our projections, would be 42.01%.
On election night, 3 candidates claim the presidency. Thus begins the nasty electoral dispute. Three days after the vote, they lay siege to the Election Commission. Located behind high walls, it's an administrative enclave protected by the Republican Guard. There is an air of revolution in Libreville. Opponents had never dared to approach so close to this place. Answering the call of their leaders, they're convinced that their victory is in the process of being stolen.
Freedom is the next one in the act of being murdered. Change is in the act of being murdered. We are here to impose the real results of the elections. We don't want an electoral coup d'etat and have a president that the Gabonese did not choose forced on us. The watchword here is anyone but Ali.
Anything but a new Bongo in power. Waiting for the results sometimes takes on the air of an all-night carnival. Supporters of the opposition, motivated by an unquenchable desire for change, are sick and tired of 42 years under the same regime.
We don't have access to water and electricity. You see the road? We don't have roads. What can they promise us after 42 years?
42 years of misery, 42 years of slavery, 42 years of illness, humiliation, divisions. We demand freedom now.
The festive atmosphere does not mask the already palpable tension. The dissenters are threatening violence if the outcome of the Election Commission is not to their liking.
If they steal the victory from us, we'll make things worse. We'll cause total chaos because enough's enough.
We will break and burn everything, whatever happens.
If the Ivory Coast was able to do it, we Gabonese will do it here. If Ali must walk on our bodies, he will walk on our bodies.
As feared, the announcement of Ali Bongo's victory sets off a powder keg in Port-Gentil, the economic capital and opposition stronghold. In the streets, amateur footage shows an angry mob that the police are struggling to contain. The governor of this province attempts to appease the protesters by reassuring them he wants peace.
I can sign an order to open fire, but I didn't sign it. I want peace.
But he failed to bring back order quickly enough, and he was fired a short while later. In the meantime, the prison was attacked. The camera catches looters taking everything they can. The cells are empty. Taking advantage of the chaos, dozens of inmates escaped. For some thugs, it's the hour to hunt down white people, especially the French who are living in the Total Schlumberger complex.
French people, you will see.
Fearing for their safety, the expatriates working for French oil companies took refuge on the rooftops. They'll be evacuated. France is accused by the opposition to be once again supporting the Bongo dynasty. The consulate general, a symbolic target, is set on fire. The riot police, along with special units from the Gabonese army, are called in for reinforcements. 3 nights of rioting ensue, which will leave at least 15 opposition supporters dead. The authorities deny military bullets may have caused the deaths. But at the morgue, the victims' families say armed men in uniform fired at the mob.
It was the agents who were in a white pickup truck that fired at the mob at the New Market sign. Then my brother, what was he doing? He was standing. He was not participating. He was watching those people who were breaking things. He was at a distance, but as they fired, he was hit. This is not a coup. This is not the type of atmosphere in which we would celebrate a victory. So that means if he was elected, and there are these problems, then he was not elected by the whole population of Gabon.
To challenge Ali Bongo's victory, the opposition claims it has 2,800 statements alleging election fraud. These are kept here in the Central Hall of the Electoral Commission. Alfred onFor is not afraid of a possible recount. Ali Bongo's representative on the commission, he claims to have nothing to hide in the statements.
Anyone can have access. He simply applies, and then we give him some time. He comes here and under supervision of the archivist consults the materials on site.
But these statements were not individually verified after the election. After a stormy meeting of several hours in which the opposition commissioners were absent, Ali Bongo was declared the winner.
Whole cities, whole counties, whole provinces were scrutinized by the opposition. They found nothing. Given the overall national results, Mr. Ali Bongo has won votes everywhere because we must recognize that Mr. Ali Bongo's campaign was a great campaign.
It was an American-style campaign that almost no other candidate could afford. Supported by the party apparatus, Bongo enlisted the country's most famous rap group to appeal to young voters. Voter turnout was high in his home province. And Bongo relied on the mobilization of his supporters, who hoped to see him stay in power as long as his father.
Ali Bongo, 7 years in power.
40 years like his father. He'll have the same mandate as his father throughout the 40 years. He'll manage Gabon because he's the candidate of the young people. The future's safe with him. We're together till the end.
A country rich in oil but poor in roads, where no one can follow a schedule like his, 57 meetings in 15 days without having helicopters or private planes. If he never really doubted his victory, Bongo was equally prepared to be challenged.
Anyway, all elections in Africa are contested. There will therefore inevitably be challenges. The only recourse we have are the courts. And it's this road that we must take.
You had the statements with you. Okay.
Opponents of the new president continue to update their results on the 2,800 polling stations in the country. The operation could take days.
You said 440, so that's 441, right?
The candidate's staff prepared their files for a possible appeal to the Constitutional Court. On this table, a series of questionable voter cards, part of the evidence supporting voter fraud.
These are voting cards that clearly belong to foreigners and who were sent to the polling station just before closing time, when it was felt that everyone would be too tired to catch these foreigners. You have names like that. They're not Gabonese at all, names not known here in Gabon. They're West African names that everybody could recognize.
Pending a possible electoral dispute, Libreville swirled with rumors of unlikely alliances, secret negotiations between the newly elected Bongo and his rivals. This is denied by Andre Baobam, who swears that any agreement with Bongo is impossible.
There's no agreement. If I sign in the morning, 2 or 3 days after, you will come to my funeral. These are my own followers who will kill me, starting with those that have the means. Me, I have not given a rallying cry since I don't rule it out, and I know that if I do, they will follow.
As if he had anticipated this post-electoral showdown, on polling day, Bongo came to seek the blessing of his father, Omar, at the family mausoleum. It was a symbolic visit, designed to cement the image of a handover of power.
I know that throughout this campaign, he was with me. So I have come here to say that in my case, the campaign is mission accomplished. I did it. Now everything is in God's hands.
Omar Bongo boasted of having kept the peace during his 42-year reign. Peace, it's the fragile heritage on which his heir will be judged.
Well, I'm joined now by the man behind that special report, Patrick Fondio. Thank you so much for being here with us on Reporters. What's your take on the election? Is there any truth to what the two opposition candidates are saying there? Could they have indeed been victims of fraud, or did Ali Bongo win that election fair and square?
That is a very difficult question. And look, there have been very disturbing reports about some poll station where the numbers of voters were very high compared to the one we were registered. There have been reports of a president of poll station making illegal voting statement, and or of foreigners been giving some electoral card to cast the vote. All this, which is at this stage just allegations of the opposition coalition, must be now proved. And that's what all the leaders of the ruling party, which was backing Ali Bongo, are saying, keeping saying, is like, if the opposition say they have been fraud, they should prove it. And that's why the opposition coalition leaders and Mr. Baobam has decided to introduce a request to cancel the vote behind the Constitutional Court. And to introduce that request, he should have proof of that. And he says he has it. So let's say in a couple of days, when all those proofs will be public, maybe we will have a very good idea of what happened really on that day, because from now it's quite difficult to say it.
Patrick, what do people in Gabon think about the results from this vote? The opposition called for a 3-day strike and hardly anyone participated. Do people in Gabon really care about who wins this election?
From my point of view, people are really, let's say, tired. Don't forget that there's been a number that have been not so commented. It's the number of people who didn't go to vote. This was supposed to be a huge election. It was supposed to be the most important election there since 42 years. And almost 60% of the population of people registered didn't go to vote. I think people there, the silent majority, just care about how they're going to eat at night time and how they're going to send children to school, because this is September. And they all see all this as political games, and they don't think that all the oil resources will be let's say, well redistributed in among all of them. And yes, I think they look at it as a political circus.
Patrick, we just have a few seconds left. Very quickly, look toward the future. What kind of president will Ali Bongo be?
I think he's a clever man. He has a very French or Western culture, and I think he will try to be better than his father, and he wants his own legacy. And I think he will surprise the Gabonese, even though it will be tough for him, because he may want to change things, but the system, indeed, is very, very, very strong to change, because they've been ruling and having all this money since so many years that I don't think people who are his allies currently would let him change or have the change he wants to have.
Well, Patrick Fondier, thank you so much for giving us that special report on the elections in Gabon. That wraps up this edition of Reporters. See you again next week with another behind-the-scenes look at the greatest stories from around the world.